Smile. Click. Oh yeah, it's me again. End of month bot haul time again. Yes, let's see what I got this month. Well, obviously it's August, and August is TF Nation. You've already seen my TF Nation haul. I did a video on it a couple of weeks ago, and that video ran out for over an hour because of all 43 items of it. Now last year, what I did was I went over my TF Nation haul twice. I did like one immediately after the convention where I just showed the stuff in boxes, and then at the end of the month when I did my end of month bot haul, I showed it all again. This time out of the boxes, and gave my sort of opinion on each of the figures as I passed them in front of the camera. That video ran out to 1 hour 25 minutes. It was like nearly an hour and a half long, and it's the longest video I've ever done on my channel, and I really don't want to do that again this year. I didn't want to have to go over my TF Nation again in my end of month bot haul. So I will be doing a recap on my end of month bot haul in the form of a musical photo gallery like the ones I do at the end of my video, or I'll go over it again. I might actually do a little bit of housekeeping on something I bought at the convention, which I've done a little bit of work on and improved it slightly. But this haul is ostensibly my August haul, the stuff I bought outside of TF Nation, and as such it wasn't a great deal of items. So what I've decided to do, as in last month, I've decided to show you some DVDs and Blu-rays that I got this month, as well as a little Brucey bonus, and also an extra comic that I bought which is non-Transformer related, kind of. Right, first thing that arrived. Now, first DVD or Blu-ray that arrived on the 1st of August. Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress. Yes, I went and bought the Blu-ray DVD double play because this series was originally an exclusive on Amazon Prime. I watched the series on then. It's only 12 episodes, but it's apparently made by the same people who made Attack on Titan, but a lot of people have criticised it, saying, no, it's a poor copy of Attack on Titan. But I've never seen Attack on Titan. I've only seen this. I love this to bits. This is an amazing show. It's a cross between steampunk samurais fighting against zombies in while riding along in like huge armored trains. That's basically what this is about. It's an amazing. It's got also one of the most awesome theme tunes applied to any anime show. It's amazing. So I went and got the DVD, and Blu-ray. I haven't watched it yet. It's still sealed, but I do this thing every morning when I go to work. I like to sit down and watch a couple of episodes. When I'm finished with My Hero Academia, I will be moving on to this. So, yep, that's the first thing that arrived. Then I got hold of a Cyberverse figure. Where was I? What day was it? It was a Friday. Yeah, I went uptown, went a walk around town, went into my entertainer and found this guy. Cyberverse One Step Skybyte. And I was going to get him anyway because, I like to character mold set collect Skybyte, like all the molds, so I had to get this thing. It's a decent little figure. I mean, obviously it's a one-step changer. Like that. It's dead easy to mess around with, and I decided to do a review on it because when I checked up on YouTube, nobody else appeared to have done a review on it. So I did a review on it, another world first review for my channel, and and didn't get that many views, to be honest. So it was a bit of a waste of time me doing it, but I did a review on it. One person put a negative comment in the review because apparently they can't tell the difference between this toy and this toy. That's all I'm going to say on that. But anyway, Yeah, so yeah, I got him, and he was the first bot, the first plastic I got this month, and he arrived. Well, I got him on the 2nd. Then on the 3rd, the next DVD arrived. DC Batman versus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles animation thing. Again, a lot of the DVDs that I buy, I don't know, I see clips of it on YouTube and like the look of it and decide to go and get the DVD or the Blu-ray, as is with the case here. I'm not a huge fan of you know Batman or the Turtles, but I don't mind a bit of Turtles or a bit of Batman. You know, I like watching some of the Batman movies. I like watching some of the Turtles shows, So, but I'm not a huge fan on either of these sort of franchises. But I don't mind them, in small amounts. And yeah, I quite like the look of this. Decided to find out what it was all about. Went and got it, and yeah, it's a decent little standalone show. So yeah, I've got that. Then the next thing I got, or the next things I got, was on Friday the 6th. No. The next things that arrived was on the 6th, and yeah, I got me refractors. Yeah, now I was a bit concerned that I might not be able to get these guys at TF Nation, though I needn't have worried because I think In Demand had a bunch of them, so as did other people. So I could have got them at TF Nation, but I'm sure I didn't see the price on these, but I'm sure they were doing them for 20 quid each. So I decided to get mine, well, preempt TF Nation and get these guys in before TF Nation, and I ordered them from Forbidden Planet and paid, I think it was $18.99 each for them. So with the shipping, I got them for under 60 quid, which I was quite happy with. Absolutely love the camera mode because, yeah, it's an SLR. I mean, this is my dad's old Minolta SLR. It's still works. There's nothing in it. It's empty. But my dad, was a very keen photographer. He took photographs for many years until he got his dementia in his latter years and sort of give up on it. I used to take a lot for photographs with a camera like this. I had a Minolta as well. It's up in the loft somewhere. It's a slightly newer, smaller model than this, but it's completely wrecked because I took thousands of photos with that. Riding around on trains in like the 80s and early 90s, and then when I got into my banger racing, I went all over the country, photographing banger racing, and yeah, so I used it for that, and I totally wore it out and wrecked it. But this is my dad's one, and I thought it interesting to compare the camera mode with a real SLR camera, and obviously this thing's way heavy because it's mostly metal, but I love this thing. I think this thing's amazing. I mean, the fact that you use all the accessories to make the camera mode is amazing. Everything plugs together so nice and firm, makes a good solid alt mode. The robots are great. The spaceship it turns into is a thing, but this is the real reason why you buy these guys, is to make the camera mode, and the camera mode it's awesome. It's amazing. I love it. Absolutely love it. It's fantastic. Not a huge fan of Refractor as a character, but when I saw this was coming out, I thought, yeah, I want to get into that, and I'm so glad I did. It really is an awesome piece of kit, and it's a shame you have to buy 3 deluxe figures to make it, but that's the thing. And yes, there's that Takara version coming out where it's got all the different colours and the extra pieces to make a more realistic camera mode, but no, it's all right. It's great. I love it as it is. So I'm glad I got that. And I ordered it. When did I order it? I think I ordered it sometime in July, and it arrived in August. So I got it in time for TF Nation. So that was good. Then next DVD, King of Bandit Jing, 7th Heaven. Now, I've got the original OVA series of King of Bandit Jing, and I really like it because it's kind of like a fantasy anime. I do dabble in a bit of fantasy anime from now and again, and you've got this kid called Jing, who's the king of bandits. He's the king of thieves, and he has this sidekick in the name of this bird called Kier. And Kier can sort of strap himself on his arm and become this super weapon, where he sends these green blasts and he goes, "Give me a Kier Royale," and he blows the bad guys away. But This is like a 3-part sort of mini series where he gets locked up in this this super super tight prison called Seventh Heaven, and he's actually going after a guy called Campari, who's like a wizard who's distilled people's dreams into these little balls, and he's trying to steal something from him. And when he finds Campari, Campari casts a spell on him and invades his dreams, and it's a bit of a head trip going on. Out of the 3 parts, it's part 2 that I like the best, because it has this excerpt, this sort of flashback where you go back to Jing's origins, so to speak, and you see how he met Kia. And also Postino is in episode 2 of this anime, and if you've watched the original series, you'll know who Postino is. He's this guy who rides around on this this post guy that rides around on this vintage motorbike, and he turns up virtually every episode, gives Jing a little bit of information that allows him to to pull off his heist and steal whatever it is he's after. I like this show. I'm glad that they got the original voices of the original guys. Or is it Ron Berry and Joey Hood doing the voice of Jing and Kia? Really appreciated that. It's a great little anime. It's NTSC. It's an American one, so I had to use it on my my multi-region DVD player. But I'm so glad I got it. They have done some other stuff for this, but again, I can't find out much information on it. But I'm glad I got this. That makes my King of Bandit Jing stuff a little bit more complete, so I'm glad I got hold of that. So that was the 6th. Next, the 7th. Right, KO Masterpiece, transparent MP36 from Toy House Factory, the Toy House Factory 03C Dynastron Crystal version. Now, I saw this on AliExpress, and I thought, well, I like me collecting the Megatron Gunformers, and before anybody criticises me for buying a KO MP36, I do have a genuine one, right? I do have a real one, and I paid over the odds for this. I paid £196 for this piece of kit, this toy, and it's the most expensive toy that I own, and this thing cost a third of the price this thing did. Right? Now, you might think, made out of transparent plastic, this thing must be, a disaster waiting to happen. Transform this and it'll just shatter into a million pieces. Well, you'd think that, because normally transparent plastics are so stiff and brittle, you bend it, it stresses and then it breaks. Well, Toy House Factory, I don't know what they've done with the plastic on this, but they've put some sort of polymer mix into the plastic, and it doesn't feel, like a hard transparent plastic should. It feels almost, it's almost got like a silky rubbery touch to it. And if you look at the beam saber, you can bend it. I mean, it does stress if you bend it excessively, but it bends. It's flexible. This plastic's flexible. And so I have transformed this. I mean, I did do it using the instructions, but it still took me 50 minutes, whereas it took me like an hour and a half to do MP36 without the instructions. And it also has, because it's a Toy House Factory one, it comes with the the G1 toy chest plate and face sculpt. Even though with it being transparent, you can't tell the difference between the regular ones and the the other parts. Also, the fusion cannon. So it's got the voice clips of Frank Welker on there, though he doesn't actually say Decepticons in any of the clips. And as you can hear, the speaker's like super tinny. It has got no bass to it. So, but it's English voice clips, and I appreciate that. So I went and got this, and another Megatron Gunformer, even though it's a copy of a mold that I've already got. But then again, I did it with my Generation Toy Tyrant and Megasorry. I got them two versions of the same mould, one in regular colours, the other in transparent. So I felt the need to get this. So yeah, went and got hold of him. He was quite interesting. And then on the 9th, I went uptown, Spartown Comics. Went to see my mate Richard. Got latest issues of the Transformer comics. Got Transformers Bold New Era issue 10. And Ghostbusters number 3. Transformers Ghostbusters number 3. Yeah, again, things are happening in these comics now, but it's still not enough to really get its hooks into me. The Ghostbusters one definitely isn't really rolling along as fast as I'd want it to. It's a bit slow going, and there's only 2 more issues of this left, so it's interesting to see how they wind it up. This now it's got Chromia on the cover, but she's apparently just been killed in a large explosion where the 6 Shot and friends had this secret base underground, and then they decided to self-destruct it to stop it falling into the security forces' hands, and Chromia was right in the middle of it. But I don't know. I think we've seen the last of Chromia, but we don't know until later issues. Freud is in this again, and I'm so glad he is. But yeah, so I got those on the 9th. And then it was the next sort of DVD thing. Well, Blu-ray actually, Redline. Now, again, it's another one of those things where I was, been browsing on YouTube, and I saw a music video set to the animation of this show, well, this movie, and it looked amazing. The images, the graphics, the aesthetic on this show, absolutely mind blowing. So I thought I'd get it. I wanted the DVD version, but I ended up getting the Blu-ray, and wow, what a show! What a film! This thing's amazing. The stylings on the art in this, it is awesome, absolutely amazing. The action, the characters, everything in this, absolutely mind blowing. I mean, sometimes you get an anime that is it's an a work of art. And that's what this is. It is a work of art. The images, the graphics, the how they made this, absolutely mind blowing. So if you haven't watched this, I can thoroughly suggest you go and watch Redline. It's awesome. Right, and that's on the 14th. So next it was TF Nation, 16th, 17th, and 18th, and as you've seen, I got a quite substantial haul at TF Nation this year. I'm not going to show it to you in full again because I've already shown it to you in full in my TF Nation haul video the other week, and which ran out to over an hour. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you a quick musical photo gallery where I'm going to go over the items again, and I'll just show you what I got, and then I will mention something about something I bought in the haul afterwards. Okay, so see you in a bit. Right, so there you go. There's my TF Nation haul again in recap form. Yeah, I bought a butt ton of stuff again. The one thing I wanted to talk about though, as part of it, is TFC Hercules. Now, I mentioned in my original haul video that the hips were stupidly loose on it, and they still are to some extent, but you can see this leg isn't moving so much. I have had the hips apart and done some work on it to try and stiffen it up. The design of the ratchets in here is very crude. It's very coarse ratchet, and it's got a lot of play in it. So I've gobbed it full of nail varnish, and I've switched the ratchets round from side to side, upside down, so hopefully any wear that they've got on the pawls will be swapped from side to side and be 180 degrees out from where the things are. And he will now stand up without falling over, which is an improvement, because before you plonked him down and he would just topple over backwards because the ratchets in his hips and his knees just would not be able to support his weight. And this guy is heavy. He's a heavy boy. So yeah, I've done a little bit of work on TFC Hercules and improved him slightly. And so he's something I got in my TF Nation haul this year. And moving on, so the day after, the 19th, a couple of things arrived, most notably my KTRTs, which I've already reviewed. So I got this guy, Tobot V, Sonic Stealth. He transforms into a stealth bomber. He's a very scrawny, sort of lanky blue bot. Got very thin blade-like legs. Decent amount of articulation. Unusual arm design, but he's a decent toy. Obviously, he's a bit smaller than your average KTRT because he's designed as a he's designed to be parts for a combiner more than anything else. So got him, and he's not too bad. And then, subject of my last review a couple of days ago, Miniforce Penta X Voltbot. Now, I did a comparison with the other two Voltbots that I've got. So I've got the original Voltbot, I've got the Miniforce X Voltbot, and I've now got the Penta X Voltbot. So I've got all three versions of the Voltbot that they've done up to now. And actually, out of the three, I prefer this one, both the aesthetic in robot and vehicle mode. Build quality wise, it's still not as good as the original Voltbot, because that was made by Sonicon. These are made by Gaia, and Gaia are still learning how to make transforming toys of decent quality. I mean, their first effort, which was the original Miniforce X figures, they were absolute garbage, to be honest. They were rubbish. This thing is an improvement. It's got more joints, it's a little bit more solidly made, it pegs together in vehicle mode quite well, and it's got a really nice aesthetic in both modes. So yeah, I quite like this guy. He's pretty cool. So I got hold of him. And then, right, so next. Now, the 23rd was actually the last day of the month where I actually got anything. So the next two items, well, three items, because there's an extra item I'm going to throw in. It's a comic item, but it's nothing to do with Transformers, kind of. Anyway, so the next one is a third-party masterpiece figure that I've been after for a while. And there's a little story behind this one. It's a case of YouTuber made me do it with this one. And it was... Now, I can remember seeing a review of this figure by Smizno Dave Mentz. SMSNO. Not number one, because he's taken that off. But you know who I mean. One of the leaders of the TFYTC Facebook group. He reviewed this toy a number of years ago. I think 2015. This is when this toy came out. And it was the first masterpiece offering from this company, Unique Toys. And he gushed in his review about the engineering on this thing, about how magical and amazing the transformation was on this figure. And it made me want to get one. But at the time, I wasn't that keen on getting one. But I sort of put it on the back burner. You know, I'd like to get one of these. And one of my favourite eBay sellers, Mr. Netclow, he had the figure in stock for a long time. He had it in stock for about 75 quid, and I was quite happy with that, because I knew that if I wanted to buy one, there was somewhere where I could get one anytime I wanted for a reasonable price from a trusted seller. So that was that. So I kept checking up on it, and it was there, and but the time just wasn't right for buying it. There was other things more important that I wanted to buy with my money at the time. And then finally, when I was prepared and ready to buy it, I went to Netclow's eBay shop, and it had gone. It'd sold out. And then when I started looking for this figure elsewhere, I found people selling pre-owned ones, and they were asking, because this figure was out of production and it was getting on a bit. People were asking scalper prices for it. For used ones, used unboxed ones, they were asking over 100 quid, and I wasn't prepared to pay that. So anyway, fast forward to a couple of months ago, I was doing a search on eBay, and one cropped up for 70 odd quid, and I thought, oh, what's going on here? And I suddenly noticed there was a bunch of these suddenly reappeared on eBay all of a sudden. A load of Chinese sellers all selling them for roughly around the same price, around about sort of about 72, 74 pound. Well, between sort of 75 and 80 quid. And I thought, well, this is weird. Has this toy been reissued or something? Anyway, I saw it on these sellers, these Chinese sellers, and I thought, has this thing been reissued or something? So I went through, and then I looked at the various sellers, and I picked a seller. I think I've bought from him before. His name's Bababobo00712, and he has loads of stuff for sale on his eBay shop, and his prices are really reasonable. And he's one of these people that does like the token $1 shipping price, and he does it mainly so you can get a rough idea of the currency value of your currency against his, like the pound against the dollar. And so if it was $1, it was saying like shipping was 81 pence. So it's quite interesting. Anyway, the thing was, he didn't have the toy in stock. He was doing it as a like a pre-order. Now, I have a slight problem with this. I think eBayers should not, or pre-orders should be banned on eBay. eBay is an auction site. It's for people selling items that you have in stock, i.e. as an auction or as a buy it now. People who put auctions up for, or buy it nows for stuff they haven't got, i.e. pre-orders, that ain't right, because you don't know when it's going to come out. And as was the case with this, I mean, he said it was going to come out in July, so I waited until the 1st of July before I placed an order on it. And then halfway through the month of July, I got contacted by the seller saying, oh, there's been a delay, it'll come out later than expected, so you'll just have to wait. So I was a little bit concerned about that. And then obviously this month I then received notification, oh, your item's been dispatched, here's a tracking code, and it arrived on the 23rd. Unique Toys Provider. Yes, they're Masterpiece Octane homage. Now, when I got it, there was a rattling in the box, and I thought, what the hell's going on here? So I opened it up, and then this mangled clamshell came out. I mean, look at the state of this. Look, it's totally, I don't know what's happened. It's like it's melted or something. It's all beaten up. I mean, the toy was inside. It was unhurt. So, but I thought that was a bit weird. But the clamshell's been completely and utterly distorted by, I assume it's been overheated. So then there was that, and then I've got him out and I had to play with him, and yeah, the transformational engineering on this is brilliant. It's fantastic, and that's sometimes when I see a toy that's got a really cool, amazing, magical engineering on it, when it transforms, I like to get it, and as was the case with this. And when I saw Smith's No Days review on this toy, it made me want to get one, but it just took me a while to get around to actually pulling the trigger on it. Yeah, so it finally arrived. Now, I'm a bit suspicious this is a knockoff, because I mean this toy originally came out in 2015, and now all of a sudden there's a whole load of these toys just appeared out of nowhere. Now, has Unique Toys reissued this figure? I don't know, as they have. And when I actually look close at this figure, even though all the joints are nice and tight and there's no obvious problems with it, there is some suspicious looking stains on some of the bone coloured plastic on this thing. There's some unusual looking marks that I can't really explain. But you know, he's an amazing figure, triple changer, petrol tanker, jetliner, and robot mode. I'm not a huge fan of Octane, or Octone as the Titan's Return one is called. I'm not really a fan of him as a character, but I bought this because of the the transformational engineering. I mean, he's all right. He's not massively huge for a masterpiece figure. He's a bit smaller than MP36, obviously. And since then, you've got the KFC Strato tanker, which has come out, which is more G1 accurate. But I still think this is a decent enough figure, and I'm glad I got it and finally got one for a reasonable price. And so I finally got hold of my Unique Toys provider, and he was the last bot that arrived this month. It wasn't the last bot that I bought. I bought another bot a couple of days ago, but it won't arrive till next month, so you'll see that in next month's haul. Anyway, so on the same day, 23rd being a Friday, it was last Friday, went uptown to Spartown Comics, went to see my mate Richard, and he had for me the Transformers 84 issue 0. Now, I wanted to get this because back in the day I used to collect the Marvel G1 comics, so this is right up my street. It's done in the art style of the original American Marvel G1 comics, which I'm okay with. I grew up with this, so this is nostalgia for me. This is. Some people get all dewy-eyed about the G1 cartoon series, whereas I get dewy-eyed about stuff like this. About the old school comics, and it's great. It's written by Simon Furman. Awesome. And the story is really, really interesting because it's basically a prequel to the start of the original comic series, for the Marvel comic series for Transformers, where the Autobots blasted off into space. They were invaded. They were captured by the Decepticons. They crash landed on Earth, and then millions of years later they awaken and start the war all over again on Earth. But this was, the way Simon's written this is quite interesting. I mean, basically it was a clandestine action by Optimus, because Cybertron was hurtling through space and it was going to a really bad place in the universe, and it had to go through this asteroid field, and there was a risk to the planet itself. So Optimus and the elders of Cybertron wanted to do something about this, but unfortunately you've got Megatron and his Decepticons rampaging over the planet, taking over all towns and cities and basically invading everything, and they needed to deal with him first. So Optimus set up this idea of luring Megatron away from Cybertron, and in order to do that he set up this clandestine operation with Punch Counter Punch, and he sent some scouts to Earth, which was the Fast Lane and the clone bots, and they arrived on Earth, and then these Decepticons start to attack them. But they arrived on Earth the same time as in medieval times, when the Viking invaders the Norman invaders were invading the Vikings at Stanisham Castle, which was the castle which, if you remember, if you've ever read the Marvel G1 comics, ever read that the first UK story called Man of Iron, well, it ties in with the Man of Iron story, and I just love that. There are a few discrepancies. I mean, as I remember the Man of Iron story, I don't remember the bots that were buried under the in the grounds of Stanisham Castle as being, Autobot clone bots. They were just these random, Cybertronian bots which got killed off and destroyed when the ship was vaporized by Jazz. But it's interesting the way he did it. I mean, he sort of did this prequel for the main Transformer toy, and he tied in his... I think, didn't Simon write the Man of Iron in the first place? So he tied in the Man of Iron with the original, plot, and I love the way he did that. So, awesome comic. Very much enjoy reading this. It was a trip down memory lane for me. Very much nostalgic, thing for me. Like I said, I do have there are a few discrepancies which difficult to work out. But if I ever get a chance to meet Mr. Furman again, I'll have to get this signed by him because awesome job, Simon. And then another thing that I saw. Now, go back when I was up at Bury last, which was actually it was Sunday the 11th. I was uptown at Bury. And I was walking back from getting my my meal, and I noticed there's a comic shop on the Bury High Street, and they were closed, but they had a poster in their door, and I saw it, and this is what I saw. It was a poster of Death's head, and he was like an illustration of Death's head at a punk rock concert. His arms transformed into electric guitar, and people are throwing bottles at him. And I saw this, I thought, wow, is this a new Death's Head comic coming out? And obviously Death's Head is still Marvel property, even though he started life in the Marvel G1 comics, and we all know he was the creation of Simon Furman and Jeff Senior. He was their brainchild, and he went through all the Target 2006 and all that legacy of Unicron, and then eventually he got zapped into cyberspace and got zapped into space, and then he had a run-in with Doctor who shrunk him down to human size, and then there was Dragon's Teeth, and then he arrived on Earth and became part of the Marvel universe, and then he got upgrades and changed to Death's Head 2, Death's Head 3, and I don't know what happened. But anyway, I saw this poster and I thought, oh, it looks like old school Death's Head, and even though he's got the new armor design, he's got the old school colours, the brown and the red and the green, and I thought, oh, I might have to give this a go. So a couple of weeks later, before TF Nation, I got on the blower to Comic Connections in Banbury, and had a word with Richard, my comic guy, and asked him to sort this comic out for me, to put it in my subscription box. So it wasn't until the 23rd, Friday the 23rd, that I got to see Richard, and yeah, he got me issue 1 of Death's Head. Awesome. Now it's called The Body in Question, this particular story run. I don't know how many issues it's going to run out, 4 or 5 issues, but yeah, so far so good. I'm quite enjoying it. Death's Head's had a run-in with was it Yondol, from Guardians of the Galaxy. He has a run-in with him and then gets sent through this space-time warp portal and arrives on Earth, and then he's sort of like been turned into an amplifier for a rock concert, and then he comes to and starts causing havoc, and then there's these other like little heroes that are trying to defend him. But it looks good, and I'm going to carry on with this because I haven't got anything from Death's Head for donkey's years. I haven't had anything from Death's Head since the Marvel G1 comics, since he vanished out the Marvel G1 comics. So I'm kind of catching up on Death's Head, and I'm glad to see that he's getting out again, because ever since he left the Transformers scene and became Marvel property, they've not really known what to do with him properly, and I wish he could go back to being a giant mechanoid and beating the shit out of Transformers, because that's where he really was at his best. But so I got that, even though it's not technically Transformers. I'm not adding it to my Transformers haul, but I just thought I'd show it here because it is linked to Transformers, because Death's Head got his start in Transformers. And you talk Death's Head and everyone thinks back to the Marvel G1 Death's Head, Target 2006 and all that. So yeah, I got that, and that's the last thing I got this month. Right. Now, obviously, it's the end of the haul, yes, I've forgotten. You'll just have to give me a moment, because obviously I've got to do first and worst, and that includes my TF Nation haul, and that's in the other room. So just give me a moment. Yeah, okay, first and worst. Right, I'm ready now. So, first and worst. So I'm counting all three refractors as one item, because I bought them as one item, and they go together to form the camera mode, which is the main reason why I bought this. Absolutely love this thing. It's an amazing piece of engineering. Like I said, it all pegs together really well, makes a really good looking camera mode, and I love it to bits. Well, you could argue both of these authentic Grimlocks are pretty rubbish. Probably I'll go for the small one. The design of the fists and the legs is not fantastic. He's got moulded, forearms on this, and bits just, when you're transforming it, bits fall off. It's very cheap, very, crappy. So yeah, it's not very good, and that's why it's the worst thing I got. I mean, it hasn't even got an opening mouth. I mean, come on. I mean, I know it's small. This is the Bravo unit that's really small. Has got a little bit more paint apps on the Bravo unit, but apart from that, it's bad in other ways. So that's the worst thing I got. And that is the end of this month's haul. Hope you've enjoyed it. Obviousobviously, it's the other things I got outside of my TF Nation haul, more or less. Got some interesting things. I've got a transparent KO masterpiece figure, and a third-party masterpiece figure. A couple of KTRTs. Camera bot. I think I did quite well this month, all things considered. So that's the end of this month's haul video. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Let's move on to September. Next month, there is a couple of events I will be going to. There's an NEC Toy Fair in the middle of the month on Sunday the 15th, though I'm having a lot of overtime with work lately. I think there might be some overtime on Sunday the 15th. I'm not sure, I'll have to check, but I'm pretty much planning on going to that. And then at the end of the month, we've got the Coventry Comic Con. So I'm planning on taking 100 quid to each of those events. I'll be trying to get my usual KTRTs and maybe placing a few or pre-orders on some third-party figures, perhaps. I've got a pre-order of some items with Kapow. Now, I was hoping it would come in before the end of the month, but it hasn't. They actually had some on their stall at TF Nation, and I asked the guy on the stall, as you've got this in stock, when am I going to get mine? Because I've got this on pre-order with you. When I'm going to get it? He says, "Oh, we'll be shipping them out next week, mate." 2 weeks later, and I still haven't got it, and I'm a little bit concerned about it. So, yeah. I'm a little bit irritated about that, but we'll have to see whether that comes through next month as well. So yeah, moving on to September. Hopefully you've enjoyed this haul. I've been TFR Wilderness. I'll catch you all next time. Ta-da.